Good afternoon. I'm Carlos Marin, author of The Ultimate Success Formula, creator of the Unlimited Success Academy and the Millionaire Mindset Academy, and welcome to the Secrets of Success Revealed. I'm very happy to be here with you this afternoon, and I hope that you are ready for some really impacting and life-transforming information. I want you to understand something, and this has kind of become my theme, if you will, kind of like what I stand for and what I believe, and that is that you, every single one of us, but since I'm talking to you, I want you to understand that you are unlimited potential. You have unlimited potential, you are unlimited potential, and you have the ability to be, to do, and to have anything and everything that you desire in your life. The only caveat, the only condition is that in order to do so, you must develop the mindset of the person who already is it, has it, and does it. Along the way, you might want to model some of the strategies of the people that already are, have, and do what you want, because that will save you some time. These are called mentors, these are called following systems or frameworks, which is something that I teach. But the important thing that I want you to understand is you have within you right now, this second. Not later, not, you had it one time. No. You have right now within you the potential, ability to be, do, and have anything that you want. You've just got to develop the mindset. And what do I mean by that? Well, it's a very powerful concept, but essentially it boils down to this. It boils down to the fact that beliefs rule our world. That's right. Beliefs rule our world. What you believe is what comes about in your life. All the wisdom literature in some way, shape, or form says, as you believe, it is done unto you. In the Bible, it states that as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. And what that means is, as a man thinks, which is believes continually, automatically in his subconscious mind, or hers, because, man is both male and female, so are they. So is their life. And so it's critically important that you understand this concept, and I'm going to walk you through this because a lot of times people say, oh, well, this is religious mumbo-jumbo. No. This is not religious mumbo-jumbo. This is scientific fact, ladies and gentlemen. This is scientific fact, proven today by science. The new studies of neuroscience, the studies of epigenetics. I mean, people like Dr. Bruce Lipton, Dr. Dawson Church are proving beyond a shadow of a doubt that your beliefs actually alter your DNA. They actually change your physical body. So when we hear all these things in scriptures, or these like miracles that happen and people become miraculously healed from things, what happened is that they developed a belief within their system that they were good, that they were healed, that they were whole, that they were, healthy. And then that change came about because the beliefs actually, as it is being proven today in epigenetics, actually alter your DNA. Your DNA is only a propensity for something based upon your ancestral history. But a change in beliefs alters your DNA, which alters your future, your physical body, anything and everything. I was a young businessman who wanted to get ahead. My grandfather had been a very wealthy businessman in Cuba. He had migrated from Spain to Cuba with just the clothes on his back, went to work for a very wealthy man. This wealthy man, because of his work ethic and his humbleness and willingness to learn, became his mentor. And my grandfather wound up becoming that man's business partner, and additionally became a millionaire in pre-Castro Cuba. Obviously, Castro came along, took it all, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We'll talk about a little bit more about that later. But the important thing is my grandfather set like the model, the role model for me. He was, the wealthy businessman, the patriarch of the family, and, still had that wisdom and still guided everybody along in the family. And he used to tell me that if I wanted to be successful and wealthy, to go to work for somebody who was successful and wealthy and just kind of like apprentice myself to them, right? And which seemed weird to me, being raised in the United States where we're taught to go to school, get a good education so we can get a good job. Oh, by the way, those are beliefs. Oh, yeah, we'll come back to that in a second. But anyways, so go to school, get a good education so you could get a good job, work really, really hard, sacrifice, struggle, maybe sell your soul to the devil. That's what some people think you have to do to become successful. And then maybe someday you'll become successful or wealthy. Well, my grandfather had a different strategy. But, of course, I didn't listen to that strategy because that's not what I was being taught in the world I lived in at that present time. So, fast forward, I'm 25 years old. I'm in business. I've got my own insurance agency along with a partner, been in business for a couple years, have been in insurance for about 6 years, and I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated because I'm working 70 to 80 hours a week, nonstop. You know, I'm making more money. I never went to college, but I'm making more money at that point. My friends who went to college graduated by that point, came out, and I'm making more money, about 10 grand a year more than they made coming out of college with degrees, right? Because but now, you know, now I'm classified as a salesman, even though I can't sell my way out of a paper bag, okay? If I believe in something, I can talk about it. And if I can help somebody with it, I can share it. And so that was the only thing that I was doing and doing more of, because I started doing 40 hours a week and not making enough money, so bumped it to 50, bumped it to 60, bumped it to 70, sometimes to 80. And I realized that strategy was going to run out of gas because there wasn't enough hours. If it was only dependent upon working hard or working longer, then I wasn't going to get the things that I wanted to in my life. So I figured out that you needed to work smart. But everybody that was in the insurance industry was telling me the same kind of stuff that my parents used to tell me when I was growing up. You're young. You've got a lot to learn. You have a lot to experience. You've got to develop the expertise. It takes 20, 25, 30 years to become really successful. You know, do young people want to wait 20, 25, 30 years to become really successful? Well, I sure as heck didn't. And so I was very frustrated because here I'm at 25. I thought by 25 I'd be a millionaire. I'm 25 and I'm broke. I'm frustrated. I'm depressed, right? Working myself to the bone, smoking like crazy, drinking a little bit too much. And I was frustrated. I had no answers. I don't know if you've ever been there, right? If you've ever been at a point in your life where you feel like you're doing everything that they said that you needed to do. You've read all these success books. You've read all this information. You've been to seminars. You've done everything in your mind that you've been told to do, but it still seems like you're not going anywhere, right? So you're frustrated. You're working hard. You're waking up frustrated in the morning. You're going to a job you don't like, doing something you don't like to do, not making the money you want to make, not leading the lifestyle that you want to live. On top of that, feeling guilty because you can't provide your spouse or your kids. Maybe you're a single mom and you feel guilty because you can't provide what they need, what they desire. But all the stuff you've learned previously in all these seminars and all these things doesn't seem to work. Have you been there? I know I had. And that's where I was in 1982. When I guess my desire for success was so strong that I met these people. Today, understanding what I understand, I know I attracted these people. But back then, it was kind of like luck, right? Because luck is another name for the law of attraction working in your life. So the point is this. I attracted these very wealthy business people into my life. And they said, you know what, Carlos, you're a sharp young kid. And we think we can help you. If you'll get involved in business with us, then we'll mentor you and we'll teach you how to be successful and rich like us. Now, these guys were rich. I mean, they were to me back then, somebody who made over $1 million a year, that was really, really, really rich. Because, I was working to make 100,000. I was making about 35 at that point, and I thought if I made 100, it'd be great. And if I made 250,000, that was that was the goal to me, making $250,000 a year. And these guys were making over $1 million a year. So I said, if you'll teach me, I'll learn. See, I remembered the wisdom of my grandfather, what he said to me when I was a little kid. Sometimes the wisdom of the elders, right, plants seeds in you. You may not be ready to listen at the time, but plants a seed in you that in the future, all of a sudden, brings about fruit, right? And so I remembered what my grandfather had said, and I said, you know what? If you guys will guide me and teach me, I'm all in, right? So I got involved in their business. And, it wasn't like I became rich overnight, because I had a lot of things to overcome. I don't know about you, but has your struggles, has your challenges, has your lack of being able to produce the results that you really wanted to produce in your life, has that in some way produced in you a little bit of a poor me attitude? Maybe a little bit of a victim mentality? I don't know about you. But in my case, boy, oh boy, oh boy. I'm hanging around with people that have a victim mentality because, like attracts like. So I'm hanging around with people that have a victim mentality. I'm hanging around with people that blame others, that are out there just pointing the finger at everything else. It's the government's fault. It's my boss's fault. It's my spouse's fault. It's my kid's fault. It's my parents' fault. It's right. And so I'm hanging around with people that are like that. And so what do you think I'm doing? I'm doing the same exact thing. And I've got to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, it's important that you take ownership for your life. And we're going to talk about some of these principles, because we're going to talk about some of these things that are in my book. And because a lot of you are here because you got my book. And you're reading the book and you're going to make some tremendous transformations because of the book, but you still need further explanation on these principles, which is the reason I'm doing this show. So, understand this. The victim mentality doesn't work because it zaps you of your strength. It takes away your personal power. Right? Remember that unlimited potential I talked about at the beginning? That's your personal power. That's the divine spark. That's God within you. Okay? That's what that is. That's the divine spark. That is the unlimited potential of the divine that resides in each and every single one of us. You can't shake it. You can't get rid of it. You can ignore it. You can ignore it. You can build your life totally contrary to it, but it's a power that's working in you all the time. And we're gonna see how and why throughout the course of this program. Now, so going back to my situation, I find these mentors, I find these people that are just amazingly successful, and they start teaching me, right? And, it's not like they sit me down and say, da-da-da-da-da-da. It's not like they're talking to me nonstop for hours and hours and hours. They can't afford, they're so wealthy, they make so much money, they can't afford to just talk to me one-on-one. But they said this, we got these audios, and we've got these, seminars, and we've got these books, and we've got these things. And what you need to do if you want to be successful is, you need to get these audios. Back then they were cassette tapes, right? Think about that. That's prehistoric times. They were cassette tapes back then, right? My car was a university on wheels. I had cassette tapes all over the car, listening to cassette tapes all the time. I never listened to the radio. That's part of where I got some of my education. Then they said we have seminars every month. Every time we have seminars, you need to be at the seminars. And we have conventions or live events, big live events, multi-day live events, 4 times a year. You need to be at all those. And then as you progress in the organization, you'll get access to higher level meetings that you can participate in and learn more leadership material, leadership content. And I did it. I said, if that's what it takes to learn how to be really wealthy, then I'm going to do this. And for 3.5 years, because of that victim mentality, it was still a couple steps forward, a couple steps back. I kept self-sabotaging. I kept having what I call today selective listening, right? And that was the fact that my victim mentality, my programming from the past was so ingrained that the new information was not being put into play 100%. And I'm going to show you in a second how exactly that works, because it works the same in all of us. But eventually, I started understanding. So 3.5 years. Now, mind you, 3.5 years, I'm frustrated because, I'm not making the kind of progress that I thought I should. But in those 3.5 years, I went from making $35,000 a year to $100,000 a year. Okay? It just didn't seem fast enough for me. But in the next 2.5 years, when everything was firing on all cylinders, I went from making $100,000 a year to $400,000 a year. And then a couple years later, over $1 million. So it's pretty quick when you apply the principles. And what I want to do here today is I want to share these principles with you, because it's so critical. The Secrets of Success Revealed. Think about what this program is. The Secrets of Success Revealed. Most people don't get it. Most people don't understand it. Most people have no clue, right? And I'll show you exactly how to do that. Yes, in my book, you got it all there. But part of the reason why this program and part of the reason why some of the other programs that I have are in existence is quite simply because of this. A book can give you all of the knowledge that you desire. The theory, the philosophy, the background, the scientific research, and everything else. But, when you go to school, they give you a textbook, right? And then you still go to class. Even today in the virtual age, you get the textbook. You may not have to go to class in class, but you go to class on the internet, where still a teacher teaches you. Somebody explains the material to you, because when we read, we're reading things and we're kind of listening to our own voice. And a lot of what we read may go counter to our upbringing, or what I call our programming. And so you're hearing things with this little filter all the time. And that's blocking you from understanding and comprehending the information. Now, if that's true with things like science and mathematics and reading and writing skills and all the things they teach you in school, if it's true of that, how much more true do you think that it might be of probably the most important topic or topics that you can imagine in life? Success, creating wealth on purpose, happiness, joyous, harmonious relationships, living in positive, balanced, joyous, emotional states on a consistent basis, living in wholeness or perfect health. How much more important is that teaching in those topics, which are really what life is all about, right? I mean, at the end of the day, what's everybody looking for? What's everybody looking for? I mean, us human beings, we are more similar than we are dissimilar. We all want the same things. We all want to be loved. We all want to be respected. We all want to be cared about and cared for. We all want a better life. We all want more, bigger, better. It's because this divine spark, this unlimited potential that we all have within us, is this desire, this urge that's continually driving, pushing us to have more, be more, and do more. It's this inner ambition. It's this drive. And if we are creations of God, sons and daughters of God, individualizations of God, however you look at it in your spiritual practice, if we are that, then who do you think put that drive, that spark within us? The force that created us. And it did so for a reason. Because I believe that we're here to understand that we are individualizations of infinite intelligence or the divine, whatever you choose to call it, and experience and express continually ever greater levels of life, love, and beauty. That's what we're here to do. And in order to do that, that's why that little spark keeps pushing us forward. So I believe entrepreneurs are people that are seeking more advancement, more growth, because you know what? A lot of times people criticize and say, Carlos, you talk so much about money. Well, I talk so much about money because people talk so much about money. People want money so much, right? I mean, it's hard to provide your family with all the fun and joyous and loving things that they want with no money, unless you live in the jungle someplace. And so, bottom line is money's important to people. People are interested in money. People want more in their lives. And it's the topic, quite frankly, that most people are the most interested in. And it is the cause of most marital problems. It is the cause of all kinds of relationship problems. It's the cause of poor self-image and poor self-worth. There's a lot of things behind this. Lots of things behind this. So let's talk about why. Why did I, in the situation that I was in my life, when I found these mentors and started getting exposed to this information, why did I think the way I think? And why do you think the way you think? I mean, what is it that caused us, if we are this unlimited potential, if we have this spark of genius, of greatness within us, what is it that caused us to fall to this level that we're in and that we're at right now? And in my studies of people and why some succeed and why some don't, I started creating a model. This model I originally called the cycle of success. Today I call it the cycle of life, and I'm going to ask my guys here to bring me the board so I can share this with you graphically and visually, because this is a very, very critically important topic. There is a cycle that is taking place in our lives continually. I tell people all the time that whatever you're producing in your life, whatever results you're producing in your life right now, you're producing those results automatically. Now, people argue with me and say, well, but wait, automatically? Are you kidding me? No, automatically. Automatically. And by the way, you're not struggling, you're not fighting, you're not doing any of the above in order to get those things, to get the result that you're getting in your life right now. What you're doing is producing those results automatically. Now, people say, but wait a second, Carlos, I'm struggling, I'm sacrificing, I'm doing all kinds of stuff all the time. And my response to you is, well, you're struggling simply because you're trying to produce a different result. You're trying to produce a different result with the same mindset that's automatically producing what you have right now. So the thing is people are trying to produce a different end result with the same mindset that they currently have. And as the scriptures say, you can't put new wine into old bottles, and you can't put old patches on new garments. It just doesn't mix or match. So you're trying to create a different, better, more positive result, wealth, success, harmony, happiness in relationships. You're trying to create a different end result while maintaining the same mindset that produced your current situation. That's the challenge that most people face. And we need to understand that every state of consciousness, every mindset is complete in itself. It does not need any external struggle or help. And let me just explain to you what I mean by this. A picture is worth 1,000 words, and that's why I started doing this. 1995, I came up with this model. And so picture this. We come into this world as unlimited potential. Unlimited potential. You're like a supercomputer. I mean, as a matter of fact, they haven't created a computer yet today that can do everything that the human mind can do. I mean, from the visualizations that it can do, the sound reproduction that it can do, the speed of processing that the mind can do, they haven't made a computer yet that can do everything that the human mind can do. So you came into that world like that. Now you may say, well, wait a second, then how come I'm in this chaotic situation that I'm in right now? And the answer very simply is this. While you came into this world like that supercomputer with a self-learning, self-regulating, self-evolving operating system, okay? I mean, there's no computer that has that. You do. But you came with no programs. Therein lies the problem. And so, you came with no programs, no software. And then the people whose care we were entrusted to, they started to put in the programs. They sat down at the keyboard of our mind and they started telling us what was good, what was bad, what was right, what was wrong. In other words, they passed along to us their mindset. Now, as you're going to see in a second, a mindset is just composed of beliefs. And so, as we started out saying, beliefs rule the world in the beginning of this program, what you need to understand is that the beliefs that you currently have, which generally for most people are very conflicting, those beliefs were installed. That was, your beliefs are the programs. All right? Understand that. Your beliefs are the programs, and those programs were installed at a very early age by the authority figures in our life. So here's what I mean. Here you are. This unlimited potential came into this world as unlimited potential. You got all this incredible hardware and operating system, but no software. And what happens is that our parents, relatives, grandparents, aunts, uncles, whatever, their friends, the teachers in school, pastors, rabbis, whatever religious persuasion you have, coaches. Let's just say all authority figures. And we had TV back in my day. We had TV and radio. Today, you got 1,000+ channels of TV. You've got radio, satellite radio, Pandora, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And you have this thing called the internet. Look at the amount of information that we're receiving today. And all of this information is coming in rather randomly. Okay? It's external. It's random information, external, sometimes not so random when your mother or your father is telling you, this is what's right, this is what you need to do, this is how it works, this is the truth, this is the truth, this is a lie, this is good, that's bad, right? So all of this is creating our mindset. And that mindset, those are the programs that run our computer. And that mindset is nothing but a series of beliefs. And what is a belief? A belief is nothing more than a sense of certainty about the validity or truthfulness of an idea or a concept or a notion. That's all it is. It's a sense of certainty. When you say, I believe this, what it means is you think that this is true. And you think that this is true because you've heard it a lot of times, or you've thought that thought so many times that it takes on a tone of realness. I ask people all the time, what's reality? And people say, what I can see, feel, hear, touch. What I can experience in my world, that's reality. Well, that's one type of reality, which is called perceptual reality. But there is another type of reality, which is which is not perceptual, it's not relative. That's a relative reality. It's relative to what you're experiencing, to the meaning that you're giving, how you're processing information, etc. There's another type of reality, which is called universal reality, which is called principles, which is God's laws. It's the principles that God set in motion at the beginning of time, and this is the way that things work. The problem is most people live in perceptual reality, so their beliefs are a representation of what they hold to be true. But it may not be true. Have you ever believed that something is true and then found out that it wasn't true? I have, many, many times in my life. I mean, this is why I teach this, because there's been such a profound change in my life as I started realizing, wait a second, I had this sense of certainty about this. I had this sense of certainty that I wasn't good enough, that I wasn't smart enough, that without a college education, I couldn't go here or there or whatever. And then I realized, wait a second, that's just a belief. It's just a belief. And beliefs are not necessarily true. They're just a sense of certainty. So we have beliefs in some very important areas of our lives. And these very important areas of our lives, I mean, these are just like giant sets of belief, humongous sets of beliefs about who we are, which I call identity. It's your self-concept. Now, this is not to be confused with self-image, which for the most part is this mask that people put on and they go out into the world with it, and this is what they want people to think of them. I'm talking about self-concept. I'm talking about when you're alone and naked inside your own mind, what you think about yourself. Who do you think you are? What do you believe about your abilities? What do you believe that you can do, can't do, right? That's identity. So there's another important set of beliefs, which I call philosophy, right? Philosophy of life. And these are giant sets of belief about how you believe the world is. The world is this. People are that. The government is this. Republicans and Democrats. World state of affairs, other people from other races, from other religions, from, other, sexual persuasion. All of these things make up your philosophy of life. And those beliefs, that sense of certainty about that, about how that works, also determines what will happen in your world. And then there's another very important area. Now, these are just the three most important I'm giving you because I don't want to make this too difficult. And those are your values. And your values is nothing more than what you value, what is important to you in life. But a lot of people don't understand that we have values that we move towards and values that we move away from. There's things that we value that are important to have in our life, and there's things that are important for us to get away from, to move away from on a continual basis. And really, it just boils down to different emotional states that we want to experience on a regular basis. Happiness instead of sadness, love instead of hate, success instead of failure. They're really just emotional states, but they drive us to a level that is absolutely amazing. And I mean, I got to tell you, I'll give you a quick little story here. I went to a seminar in 1990. 1990 that was being held by Tony Robbins, and it was called Date with Destiny. And this seminar was at his house, the Del Mar Castle, back in 1990. This was one of the last times he did it in his house. But originally, he used to do this seminar at his house. It was just limited to 35 people, and I believe it was $3,500, $4,000 back in 1990, which today would be, I don't know, $20,000, $25,000. And I went to this seminar. It was a 4-day seminar. And in that seminar, now I had known a little bit about identity, but I had not really done an identity exercise led by somebody like Tony. And values. It really was the crux of what that seminar was. And values was the real key to it, but I did an identity exercise that in a way I'd never done it before. And so I flipped my identity and I got in touch with what my real values were and realized that I had some conflicting stuff. That year, the year before, I'd made about $400,000. And I had a goal that year to make $1 million. And some of my mentors thought I was crazy, that it was too big of a leap from $400,000 to $1 million, 2.5 times, blah, blah. Well, long story short, because of the shift in identity and my values and understanding my values and rearranging them so they weren't in conflict with each other, I went from making $400,000 to $2.2 million that year. I mean, from one year to the next. I mean, literally that much growth and expansion. And so I gotta tell you, I'm a big believer in this stuff because what I'm teaching you here, I've applied in my life totally. And you need to understand that this is the way it works. I mean, I have been studying psychology. I have been studying spiritual practices. I have been studying human nature. I've been studying leadership. I've been studying influence. I've been studying everything that makes human beings tick. And I've been studying the mind. Okay? And that's the crux of what a lot of people don't get. See, even some people that are successful, they just think, well, I'm successful because X, Y, and Z. But what they don't even understand is that somebody taught them certain beliefs along the way in their life that they've clung to, and those beliefs are responsible for their success, and it will always be that case. I'm just trying to show you, and I'm just here to show you how you can take this and purposely take control of it and purposely change things in your life to produce the life that you desire. Here's what happens. So you got these beliefs, this mindset. The way the mind works is we're bombarded with billions of stimuli per second. And if you paid attention to all of it, you would go crazy. So the mind organizes things in such a way, there's this thing called a reticular activating system, and it pays attention to what's important. And usually what's important are things that you've thought about before, things that are important to you, things that you agree with, and not what you don't agree with. So the mind will project, you remember like in Star Wars, the mothership, the whatever, Millennium Falcon, would throw off a force field around it, and that force field would allow its own ships to penetrate, to come right through it. But the enemy ships, it repelled. It would not allow them in. Well, imagine because this is a perceptual filter. Imagine this perceptual filter is just like that force field from the Millennium Falcon. So what it does is it allows information that agrees with your mindset, it allows it to come in. But information that does not agree with your mindset, it does not allow in. It just simply repels that information. And so your mindset then, along with these perceptual filters, will determine, now get this, because this is something a lot of people don't understand, will determine your desires. Will determine your desires. This is why some people want to drive, BMWs and Mercedes-Benz and live in mansions and go first class and have jewelry and nice clothes and so forth. And other people say that it's wrong, that why do we need to do that? That if we have more, somebody else will have less. That it's decadent to have that, or even sinful to have that. So what do you think determines that? What determines that's your belief system. It's your mindset that determines those things. So even your desires, what you're willing to want or not want, are determined by this mindset. Then these desires and this mindset, so this is a cycle, right? So from the mindset comes your desires. From your desires come your decisions. Okay? From your desires come your decisions. And if you don't believe in something, you might not think something's bad, but you just might think that you can't have it or you're not good enough. So you may have the desire for it, but you won't make the decision to take action because you don't think you're good enough. So decisions or lack of decisions produce our actions. And, by the way, not making a decision is making a decision. It's the decision of not making a decision. Not taking action is an action. It's the action of inaction. It's the action of not taking action. So decisions drive your actions. Your actions, over time, produce your habits, and your abilities. See, you've heard repetition is the mother of skill. Anything you get good at, you got to practice and do it over and over and over and over. So repetitive action, repeated action produces abilities and habits. And those abilities and habits are what automatically produce results. That's the automatic result producing mechanism. And by the way, these results are always going to be congruent. Always. Always. Never does it deviate from this. Always. Those results will always be congruent with your mindset. Period. End of story. Always congruent with your mindset. And this is the cycle of life. It's a self-perpetuating cycle that continues on and on and on and on. So this is why I say to people, if you want to change, because people want different results, right? This is what they want. They want different results. But typically, when they want different results, they come over here and try to change their actions. Now, does that work? That's called willpower. Does that work? Willpower doesn't really work. I mean, it'll work for a little while sometimes. You ever tried to quit smoking, or ever tried to lose weight, or ever tried to stop biting your nails, or any habit that you've gotten like ingrained with? You ever try to use willpower to change your actions? All of us have. The problem is that it isn't here. The problem isn't here. The problem is here. The problem is here. Somewhere along the line, that taking that action, changing that habit, in your mind equates to loss. It equates to losing something valuable to your mind, somewhere in your beliefs, or your identity, maybe even in your values. And that's why people have such a hard time changing. What you got to do is come up here into the mindset. Change the mindset. Change the beliefs. If you change the beliefs, right? I mean, I smoked for 20-some years. And then one day, I stopped. I won't say I quit, because quitting is something that to me is a negative word, right? Quitting, to me, I learned how not to quit. I never, ever, ever, ever quit. So, but I stopped. And I stopped because one day I woke up and I said, you know what? I'm teaching people about this thing called identity. I'm teaching people how to direct their mind, how to control their lives, how to achieve on purpose their desires and dreams, and I smoke cigarettes. Holy moly, that is just so ridiculous. It just doesn't make sense. And I started having this conversation with myself, and I was like, there's no way. There's just no way. That's incongruent with who I am. That day, I stopped. I stopped. Never have gone back since. Never smoked another one. Never. I mean, some of my friends, they say they quit and they smoke one here and there. Never, ever picked up another one ever again. And I'm not one of these freaks that I can't be in a room with somebody smoking. Oh, God, somebody smoking. I mean, I don't enjoy it. But, since I'm not tempted by it, it doesn't do anything to me. That's what a change in identity will do. A change in identity will change the actions, right? So if we look at this, because people say, well, how do you break out of a cycle? If you're in a cycle, because this is a cycle of success, it's a cycle of failure, it's a cycle of mediocrity. It's a cycle of wherever. It's a cycle of being a prisoner of your own success. Wherever you're at, it's because of this. Guaranteed beyond the shadow of a doubt. It's because of this wherever you are at in your life. If you want to make a change, you've got to change this here. And so people say, well, how do you do that? Well, it's pretty simple. How do you break a cycle? You got to break it. And you break it first by becoming aware that you're in one. This is why I spend a lot of time getting people to understand this in my seminars. I mean, when I do the live stuff, I may spend an entire half a day on this. An entire half a day. Why? Because awareness is the first requirement to creating change. Awareness is the first requirement, then desire to change it, right? And I don't mean, oh, gee, I'd like to lose 30 pounds. Oh, gee, I'd like to quit smoking. Oh, gee, I'd like to stop yelling at my wife. No. I mean, desire, I'm talking about, I've got to do this. I've got to do this. I love that thing that Tony says. If I can't, I must. And if I must, I can. See, you can change anything if you just stop wishing and wanting, which denotes lacking, and you go to intention, which is something I teach, again, in my programs. You've got to move from wishing and wanting to absolute intention and expectancy that you're going to have it, that you're going to create it. You've got to take, I can't. Well, if I can't, then I must. And if I must, gosh, then I can. See how that switch is? It's a little bit of mental jujitsu, but you've just got to get to the point that you really want the change, that you really desire the change, and then become committed to it. So, all of this really puts us in a position of being able to be in charge of our lives. And there's an interesting law. In my studies of all the spiritual practices and religions and so forth, I found that something very interesting, that there's an ancient philosophy called Hermetic law. And that the principles of Hermetic law really are at the root of all of the major religions. And Hermetic law predates all of, the religions. It's a touchy subject for a lot of people because they're like, oh, my way's the right way. I mean, look, there's only one God, right, in the entire universe. So whoever feels like they've got the monopoly on him, I don't know. But anyways, my point isn't to get into that kind of stuff. My point is to really get you to understand this point. In Hermetic law, which predates everything, and by the way, I find in the teachings of Jesus so much of Hermetic principle that it's crazy. The first principle in Hermetic law is that the all, or God, is mind, and that the universe is mental. And all, by the way, modern science today, quantum physics, I mean, they're proving everything in the universe is comprised of energy, right? That energy is intelligent energy. It's, in fact, infinitely intelligent energy. We're finding out that that energy is more intelligent on its own, without us, than we ever imagined possible before. And this energy is continually in motion. It can't be created. It can't be destroyed. It's just moving from one form to another form, which is the process that sometimes we call life and death, as things lose physical form, go back to nature, disintegrate, whatever, and then, so the energy is continually being renewed, regenerated, right? Reforming itself. And then that energy is present at every moment in time, in every place in space. Every moment in time, every place in space. So it's interesting that science is proving today these things, and that just our beliefs modify our DNA, modify anything in our lives. Then there's a second principle that is very, very, very interesting. And by the way, things like, as you believe, it's done unto you, as a man or woman thinks in his or her heart, so is he. All those demonstrate the law of mind, which is what that first principle is. The second principle is called the law of correspondence. And the law of correspondence states that as within, so without. As above, so below. And so essentially it states and means that in the mental realm, which is a higher plane of consciousness than the physical realm, and science, again, I mean, I'm just giving you a little bit here because if you expand your mind a little bit and realize that today's science is proving these things, you may open your mind to some of these technologies that I'll teach you here and realize that you can transform your life. So what's being shown today is that the mental realm has its own frequency. In other words, thoughts and beliefs and mindsets and so forth have a frequency that is higher than things that you can see visibly, right? And so the law of correspondence says that as a person thinks, right, That's what explains the law of mind. As a person thinks, so is he, so is their world. And so we're producing what we're thinking on a continual basis. Now, that helps us with this law, with this cycle of life. It helps us to understand, because people say, well, what do I need to change? What do I need to do? And look at the results that you have in your life. And the results you have in your life are a reflection of your way of thinking. They're a reflection of your beliefs, of your identity. They're a reflection of what's in your head, right? And so that reflection externalizes itself all the time. There's this thing that I teach people all the time called the law of opposites. Everything is actually two things. It's the thing you want and the lack of the thing that you want, right? And so I tell people that when you see what you don't want in your life, it's a great thing. And they look at me like kind of weird and go, what are you talking about? How could that be? It's very simple. When you see what you don't want in your life, or when you have a problem, for example, what is the solution of that problem? Well, its positive opposite is the solution of the problem. Oh, Carlos, really? I mean, I can't pay my bills. I can't pay my bills. So what's the solution to that? Well, making enough money to pay your bills, right? Well, that's easier said than done. My job, my boss, my this, my that. Look, the solution to your problem is making enough money to be able to pay your bills. So focus on the solution, making enough money to pay your bills, as opposed to the problem, oh, I can't pay my bills, okay? Because what you focus on is what you attract into your life. What you focus on is what you get. What you focus on is what you expect, right? What you focus on is what you intend. So if you continually focus on, I don't have enough, I can't pay my bills, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, guess what you're doing? You're producing more, not having enough. So this process here puts you in control and gives you the ability to direct and to change your life. So what I'd like to do is open it up for Q&A at this segment, and then after we do a little bit of Q&A here, we'll move on to how do we change a belief? How do we break free from this cycle that is continually moving us in the same direction over and over and over, on and on and on and on? How do we actually change that? Because, right, I'm not just going to give you the theory. I'm also going to show you how to create that change. And we'll do a lot of it right here on the show, and then give you some opportunities to go further and keep learning with these powerful strategies. So, do we have some questions there? I'm going to introduce you to my beautiful wife and answer a few questions at this segment, give you the opportunity to ask us some stuff. And so this is my beautiful wife, Ceci, who will be actually doing some stuff a little later on the show as well.
Hello. Are you ready for some questions?
I'm always ready for some questions.
Alrighty. This question is, I am very dedicated and motivated towards my goals and dreams, yet I cannot help but, doubt myself at times. How can I direct my attention to feeling confident and progressive towards my goals?
Well, it's a very normal and natural thing.
Tell them.
I'm because it's a very long. I'm very dedicated and motivated towards my goals. Yet I can't help but doubt myself at times. Very common.
Right.
Very common. So what you've got there is a situation where you have some belief. You don't have to leave. You're prettier than I am.
Oh, I don't want to.
You have some belief that is in conflict. And this is exactly what we're going to get to, some of the stuff we're going to get to in the next segment, is a little bit of talk about the conscious and subconscious mind. So what you've got is you've got this conscious belief that you want to get ahead, that you want to accomplish, that you want to do this stuff. But subconsciously, you have a conflicting belief, and it could be that you're not good enough. You might have been told you weren't good enough. You might have been told that you don't have enough education. You might, think you don't have enough skill or ability to accomplish that you want. See, part of the thing is this. You've got to have a dream. You've got to be dedicated and committed to your dream, to your goal, to your ambition. But the other part is you've got to have an expectancy that you're going to attain it. And that means you've got to believe that you're going to attain it. And so if you have a conflict between the belief of wanting more, right, or between the wanting more and your ability to acquire it, your ability to have it, you're going to have that self-doubt and that conflict. So what we're going to teach you how to do here in the show is we're going to teach you how to change those limiting beliefs. We're going to teach you how to figure out what's going on inside of you, and if there's some kind of emotional trauma or some psychic wound, we're going to teach you how to change that as well. And so this is very, very important stuff, but the long answer to the short question, or the short answer to the long question, is you have conflicting beliefs. You have a conscious belief that you want to attain X, Y, and Z, and you have a subconscious belief that says, I'm not good enough, or it's not good for me, or I'm not intelligent enough, or I'm not worthy, or whatever, okay? And so we're going to go further on in the program with more of those kinds of things, the conflict between the conscious and subconscious mind. It's called self-sabotage.
Yes. Okay, ready for the next one?
I am.
Okay. You guys ready? How do I go from knowing I need to take action to actually having the courage to take action?
It's very interesting how all of these things resolve themselves back to a conflict of beliefs. You know you should take action, right? But you have a fear of taking action. So that's depending upon what the situation is. If that action is that you need to pick up the phone and make a call to somebody, right? A prospect or a client or whatever, and you don't get yourself to make that call, that's called fear of rejection. If you know that you need to take certain actions on a consistent basis, but you're not taking them, that's called fear of failure. Sometimes can be known as approach avoidance, all right? But you have some fear, something has happened in your past that makes you feel insecure about your ability to make it happen if you take the action. And so you've got this wound, this thing, this hurt, right, buried within you that says, oh, if I try that, I may not succeed again, and I'll be hurt again. And so what you got to do is resolve the conflict. We will give you some takeaways, some tools that you can take with you, that whenever these fears and these things pop up, you can do something in real time, on the spot, to deal with them, to remove them. And I'm telling you, these are things that work like this, okay? That literally, that fear pops up, you know you should take an action, you can't. We'll show you some techniques that you can take on the spot, and you will follow through. You will take the action. So, hang with us.
All right, one more?
Yeah, we can do one more.
Okay, how can I use the power of gratitude to be happy? I'm 33 years old, and I am not happy.
Okay.
This was relating to the post on gratitude.
Right. Well, gratitude is a very powerful emotion. And when you're grateful for something, you cannot be unhappy. I mean, they're diametrically opposed emotions. And so one of the things that I tell people is write down 5 or 10 things that you really, really, really feel grateful for. I mean, that you really just feel super, super grateful for in your life. And have these things ready, because the problems that people have when they're, when they're not producing the results that they want. See, let me just share this with you. When your mindset is positive, supportive, and your beliefs support the end results that you want, this whole cycle is firing on all cylinders and is working on your behalf all the time. One of the things a lot of people don't understand, this is why I talk so much about dreams and the importance of dreams, is that your dreams are what needs to direct your mindset, not the other way around. Some people look and say, oh, that's too big for me. That's too much. Oh, making $1 million a year, that's too much. Oh, living in an 8,000 square foot house, oh, that's too much. Oh, making, having a $10 million business, oh, that's too much. Having my own airplane, oh, that's too much. Says who? Says who? Most people look at what they want through the filter of their current beliefs and mindset. The key to achievement is to decide what it is that you want and then create the mindset that supports achieving that thing that you want. And so this is what we will teach you through this process, is exactly how to do that. And gratitude is one of the most powerful emotions to flip you, right? From whenever a negative thought pops up in your mind or a negative emotion, or you're focusing on the wrong thing. I mean, my kids ask me all the time, well, how do I change my thinking? Well, change your focus. I mean, change your focus. Your focus is the lens of your mind. It's your attention. It's one of the most powerful forces that exist in the universe. I mean, that lens of the camera looking right there is focused at us. So while it's focused at us, it can't see what's going on over here, can't see what's going on over there, can't see the guys back there working their stuff, because it's focused over here. Well, your mind's the same way. What you focus on is what you see, and is what becomes amplified, and is what's real. That's why if you look at your problems over and over and over and over, they'll just get bigger, they'll amplify. That problem will turn into this big, huge monster, and it'll overpower you. That's why I tell people all the time, look at the solution. Are you saying be irresponsible? No. You have this problem, you're having trouble paying your bills, but is looking at that going to solve that problem? No. Okay, so I got problems paying my bills. Now, what can I do to resolve that problem? Make more money. What are my options to make more money? I can work more hours. I can get a part-time job. I can get involved in, start my own internet marketing business. I can get involved in a network marketing business. I can sell insurance on the side or real estate on the side. I can get, I'm big when people talk to me about improving their lives financially. I'm big on telling people, get into some kind of results-based business. Get away from this thinking of paycheck. Get into a results-based business. Get into something where you know that the better you do, the more you make. That gives you motivation for improvement. And so, big important thing. But the focus that you have predominantly is what produces your daily emotions, if you will. And so the gratitude aspect is so important, because if you have a list of things that you're grateful for at your disposal, whenever you start feeling bad, go, oh, my wife.
Aww.
I love my wife. My wife makes
I
me
love you
feel
too.
so good. I enjoy spending time with my wife. I enjoy being with her. I enjoy going out to eat with her. Oh my gosh, I start thinking about that vacation we're going to take, next month. Right? And so it makes me feel good. Or your relationship with God. Whatever you're grateful for, most grateful for, use that often. Because then it changes your focus, number one, and changes your vibration.
Right.
And remember, we're all energy. And we're all vibrating at certain velocities. Positive is high frequency. Negative is low frequency. The more spiritual you are, the higher frequency you're vibrating at. The more physical you are, the lower frequency you're vibrating at. The more positive you are, the higher frequency you're vibrating at. The more negative you are, the lower frequency you're vibrating at. So if positive attracts positive and negative attracts negative, where do you want to be? I teach people, keep your mindset, keep your thinking on the positive end of the scale. And the fastest, easiest way to get there is to learn to habitually focus on what you're grateful for and what you're happy about in your life. In my book, there's a thing called the good vibe questions. That's one of the strategies. Good vibe questions. 5 questions to ask yourself on a continual basis to put your mind in that higher state of vibration. And so, but the easiest and fastest is, what am I happy about in my life and what am I grateful for in my life? If you can habitually keep your mind there, then from there it's easy to jump into your dreams and goals, which is where your focus needs to maintain itself continually in order for you to achieve them.